Hello there guys, and welcome to another video. Man, I am super excited about this one, I gotta be honest. So this book, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, came out a little while ago, and I hadn't had the opportunity to take a proper look at it. But after giving it a read through now and going into some details, man, this is a really nice book. So again, one of the most common questions that I get asked is how I recommend starting a D&D campaign. And quite a lot of you guys out there are quite experienced DMs, and a lot of you are inexperienced. You're jumping into it for the first time. And what I recommend doing is starting your campaign in a way that players haven't seen before. Because if you start them doing a campaign that maybe they've never played or they've never heard of, then you are going to get a much, much better sort of game and reaction from it than you would normally. So as you guys know, one of my favourite books of all time is Tales from the Yawning Portal. And the reason being is, though this received sort of mixed reviews when it first came out, this has a bunch of different campaigns and adventures within it that take the player basically from first level all the way to level 20. And I really like that sort of system and that setup, because it gave me the opportunity, if I ever felt like I didn't have an adventure to hand, I could just pick one from Tales of the Yawning Portal and just throw it into the world that I'd created. And the players responded well to that. I really enjoyed doing it. It meant that it was a little bit different. You could add your own unique twists on it. And then they released this book. I think of this book as Tales of the Yawning Portal done a little bit better, with seafaring as the main sort of situation. And can we just appreciate this cover art for a second? Like, that is beautiful. So, cracking this book open, the first thing we notice is the chapter names. Now, the reason I say that this is done better than Tales of the Yawning Portal is because the adventures in the Tales of the Yawning Portal aren't connected, which means that if you wanted to link all of the adventures together, you would need to do so yourself, without any help from the book. This connects a few of them for you. It gives you, in chapter 1, very detailed information about Saltmarsh, which is this brilliant sort of local region. It gives you a map, it gives you information all about the area, the people and the tribes within it. And it also tells you how to link all of the adventures together, which is a super useful piece of advice, because you really need that kind of advice when you are a new DM and you're trying to link these adventures together so that you have a coherent campaign. Now, what's really great about these kinds of books and Tales of the Yawning Portal is that you can play, let's have a look. You could play The Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh, which is the first adventure, designed for low-level characters. You could then play The Dangers of Dunwater, the follow-up to it. And then if your players got sick of being in this region and doing these adventures, you could lead those same characters into another campaign. You could take them to Waterdeep, that they've travelled to via boat. You could take them to Baldur's Gate. You could take them anywhere you wanted to. Even if this is based in a homebrew world, this region and this area can easily be slotted into your own world, which just makes it super, super versatile. So if we take a look, we go past this, because this is all background information. All information that we can use. And we look at The Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh. We have an absolutely fantastic adventure here. And it's updated. This originally came out years ago, back in, I believe, AD&D. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But this has now been updated for 5th edition, and I got to be honest, there we are, there's the original art of the campaign. But this has been tweaked and improved and added to, and the great thing about one of these adventures is that you can make of it what you want. You can add to this, you can remove stuff, and it's full of really wacky and interesting locations. These maps are absolutely fantastic because you can print these maps out, just photocopy these maps, or take a picture on your phone of these maps, crop the bits out that you don't want them to see, and you've got a really interesting, a really great poster map right there. No, I think these adventures are absolutely fantastic. I'm not going to go in too much detail to each individual adventure because I would like to, after running them and getting my own experiences of them, I would like to go into a little bit of further detail and go into how I recommend changing the adventure or how I recommend improving it. I will say with the Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh, I feel like this adventure isn't tough enough, but that's just me. Maybe I'm a really harsh DM, I don't know. What I will say is that all of these adventures, I believe the first 3 adventures within this book are linked together. So I believe that is the Sinister Secrets of Saltmarsh, Danger at Dunwater, and Salvage Operation, which are the first 3 adventures within this book. I believe they are all linked together, and after that point, the Isle of the Abbey, the Final Enemy, and Tamarant's Fate, and I believe the Styes as well, are all separate adventures that you have the ability to link back into Saltmarsh. However, any of these adventures, especially the later ones, are absolutely brilliant to just take and plop into your fantasy world. And they work absolutely just brilliantly. They have some really interesting stories to them. They have some really interesting concepts. I highly recommend looking up some of these. I believe the Styes as well is really... I believe this one's quite dark. It's really interesting. Now, without going into each individual adventure and sort of ruining too much of the plot or the background for players that may want to play them, it also has information about ships and the sea. Now, if you guys have been playing D&D 5th edition for long, then you will know that the rules they've had for sea combat, well, it's been a little bit flawed. So what they've done is they've improved it. They've given more statistics and stat blocks on there. They've talked about sort of expanding the rules, and this all comes from the Unearthed Arcana content that they've tweaked and added to. So travel pace during the sea, activities whilst travelling, drawing a map. It talks about ship-to-ship combat as well, which is really, really useful. What I really love about the back of this book, however, and one of the reasons why I highly recommend just picking this up, even if you don't plan on running any of these adventures, is that in the back of this book, they have encounters and different islands and random charts. So if you are running any adventure that is based on the high seas, you can take this book, flick to the back of it, and find loads of useful information. For example, underwater locations, coral reef, gives you information on the coral reef, all the different features, and then gives you a map so that you can print this off and show to your players or recreate it using terrain or drawing. And they do this for a bunch of different locations as well. So shipwrecks, ruins under the sea. So these make this adventure and make this book even more useful. If you're a new DM and you're looking for an interesting, fun, wacky way of introducing your players to the game. Since the Secrets of Saltmarsh, the first adventure in here, is a brilliant way to go. I highly recommend it. They've expanded Saltmarsh and the information you get on Saltmarsh to the point where you can easily pick it up, read it, and then run a really good game in there. There's loads of political factions, loads of recurring NPC characters, so this is absolutely fantastic. If you just fancy picking this book up to basically pick the adventures that you want to throw at your players when you want to, in the same way that I recommend using Tales of the Therein Portal, then you can do that as well. There are some fantastic adventures that they don't need much of a build-up. They have really interesting characters in them, and they are quite challenging. They are fantastically fun. And then if you just fancy using this book as a way to improve your own nautical themed adventures, this has improved rules in there. This also has encounters that you can just drop into any nautical adventure. So they've really covered all of their bases. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you find this video useful. And at a later date, I hope to go into a bit more detail on some of these adventures and let you guys know how I would run it, what I would improve, and all of that jazz. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day.